Today on the Ave Podcast, I haven't put my stamp down on the 50th anniversary of hip-hop as yet, which, at least in my mind, we're going to be celebrating it all year, not just in this past August. And I wanted to do things a little differently. I'm going to celebrate different moments within hip-hop, so that means different moments, different albums, and eras for the next few months. But I don't want to celebrate what everyone else is celebrating, like top 50 lists and everything else, because quite frankly, everyone has literally done those things to death. It's almost like we're reading from the same script. So just to change things up a little bit, I'm going to start with this classic album from Outkast that helped to change the game and influence future artists. We'll get to that within the course of the show, of course, which, of course, I'm speaking about Speakerboxx, The Love Below, a legendary double album that debuted in late September of 2003. So I guess we're also celebrating the 20th anniversary of that as well. But I want to dive into this in light of Andre 3000 dropping that unexpected flute album and people having their say on it. It just inspired me to have this discussion about that double album because that flute album was, as much as it was unexpected as we can get, when you really think about it, it reflects the same spirit of the whole career, right? They always came left. And Andre, I guess in the last couple of weeks, represented the essence of that. With that said, though, I want to talk about Speakerboxx. So I'm joined by a friend of the podcast, DJ Chris Nice and DJ Keo, as we discuss that album. But in particular, we discuss the importance of the lead singles, the enigma that is Andre 3000, 3 Stacks, the impact of this duo on hip-hop, and our initial impressions of the group when they came on the scene, how much money they're potentially leaving on the table by not touring for their catalog. And we, like Outkast, we go outside the box and take this discussion all over the place. So please enjoy this one. We hope you do. We definitely had a good time with this one on our end. And with that said, you know that South Shore Ave is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit that like and subscribe buttons. Click on all of the 5 stars for me. And check out my catalog over at southshoreave.com. One more time for the emphasis, that's southshoreave.com. It's the Ave Podcast with Cal C on South Shore Ave Radio. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the Ave Podcast with Cal C on South Shore Ave Radio.
Welcome to the Ave Podcast, where we are here to discuss the 20th anniversary of Outkast Speakerboxx, The Love Below, the 5th album from Outkast, as well as the biggest and most popular album out of their catalog. Before I dive further, let me introduce my guests today. They are friends of the podcast. They've both been on my shows, both separately and together. But the ones that they're together on are the most enjoyable, at least for me, because the pre and post game podcasts are usually as riveting as what you hear. They were last together on the official R&B Fantasy Draft last year, which you can feel free to dive into that series. Please welcome DJ Chris Nice and DJ Keo back on the Ave. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
What
man,
up, dude?
Good.
Thank you. Now, all right, let me get back into it. Let me take you back to around this time 20 years ago. It was actually a good time in hip hop. 2003 was the year 50 Cent took over the world. He was literally everywhere. Aftermath was raining on everything. Rockefeller was entering their swan song era, only we didn't know it yet at the time. Kanye West was still just producing for everybody, and everybody loved him. And Little John and the Crunk era was ruling. And then Outkast, who by no means are a small group, they were already legendary by this time. They came in the back door with a double album, but unlike the double CDs that we... Was that?
Yeah, it's gonna be a good podcast. I can feel it.
Yeah. But unlike the double CDs before that, they made 2 separate albums. Speakerboxx being the Big Boy album, The Love Below being the Andre 3000 side. The album became a supernova due to the lead singles, The Way You Move and Hey Ya. Both songs went #1 on the U.S. Top 100 Billboard. Roses, that was their 3rd single, went on to be in the top 10. Not only did this album debut #1 with they went gold their first week, and they stayed on and off the top of the billboards for 7 weeks. It has gone on to be certified diamond. I didn't even know that till tonight. It went certified diamond, selling 13 million albums overall right now. And it went on to win the best rap album. And surprisingly, but deservedly, they won Album of the Year at the Grammys. So before we go on further about the album, I think it's equally important to bring it back to the beginning a little bit, because this group was so unconventional that we can't just dive into the album head first, because to get the Speakerboxx, the Love Below, we have to acknowledge how we even got to love them, because for a while they were an acquired taste. So whichever one you guys want to start, but what were your impressions of Outkast initially before you, like, when you started hearing about them? Let's start off with Chris.
So when you go with Keo, I want to hear Keo's point.
Okay, damn it, go Keo. He doesn't want the mantle. You take it.
Okay, I'll say this. I'll admit this. The first album was the Southern Playlistic. Right. I didn't like the album. Because I'm full on East Coast, Biggie, Jay-Z, all that stuff back then. And so, like, when I listened to it, I was like, oh, there's a couple of songs I like, but overall, I just wasn't feeling it. And to me, I never really became a fan of theirs until ATL. That's when, crap, these guys are phenomenal. And, the thing that's really wild about it, because the Southern Playlistic came out in 94. Yeah. I think 94.
Yeah.
That was an insane time for music. Because you had Snoop, you had Wu-Tang. There was so much stuff
Competition
going
was stiff, man.
Yeah, it was like, so for me, musically, it kind of got brushed to the side. And then I heard Elevators, and I was like, yo, the hell, man, the South is killing right now.
Yo, my man, your cousin, too.
Yeah. The moment they went on was it the Source Awards? And Andre said the South has something to say. That changed everything for music. Completely changed the game. It really did.
It really did, actually.
So, yeah. That was a huge deal. It was the East Coast, West Coast beef was still going on.
Yeah.
These dudes were wilding out in the studio everywhere.
Sadly, but true.
Yeah. And here comes this guy from the South doing, this country twang stuff, and they got like live musicians, and they're doing everything's different. So I think that's the best part about it, was that they stood out. Like, it was something that it didn't fit it, because everybody's copying each other, trying to make stuff that sounds like Dr. Dre, or make stuff that sounds like Wu-Tang or whatever. Like, everybody's trying to do something, and here come these guys with the Southern style that they just it was the perfect timing too. Like, if they came out any other time, it probably wouldn't have worked. Because everybody's kind of the music industry is full of haters, and so like, somebody being creative, it's not welcomed at all. And this thing here is that style. It works, man. It just worked.
Yeah.
But truthfully, I was not a fan until the second album, and then that's when I came on board, and I was like, okay. But, that's my take on it, for sure.
So you're a hater then. What about you, Chris?
Andre come out with his flute, like, yo, what you say?
Well, listen, man. Then you're not gonna like what I have to say then, because I kind of wanted Keo to go first, so I wouldn't start this off negative. I'm sorry, Keo, but I figured, you know what? I'm gonna let somebody else walk the plank and be like, damn, these sharks are tearing them up, and I might be able to swim to shore when I jump off.
I feel you, man. I feel you.
Because listen, I was the exact same way. When they came out, I was East Coast, like everything. I love certain other regions too, but I was heavy East Coast. I was like, man, what is this? And I got the album, sent to me, and I remember going through it, and I was like, and I kind of just put it to the side. It didn't like hit me at all. It wasn't on my radar at all. And you're right, it was AT Aliens. When I heard same thing like Elevators, I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
I was like, what is this? And it got my full attention.
That song was such a monster.
Full attention.
Because even at that time with the stiff competition, that song rose to the cream of the top, right? Like, the cream went right to the top for that.
It's just this vibe. That's what, honestly, it was the vibe.
It's still a
but
great
you know
record. That's a timeless record, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny?
Oh, yeah.
You know what's funny? That album, that track, actually made me go back and pick up the first album and listen to it again. I actually remember going back and saying, I actually forgot I had the first album, and I remember finding it one day in my basement. I was like, oh shit. And I remember playing the tracks, like, okay, and I gave them a chance. But the first album, I can't even lie, I was like, man, what is this? I just put it aside.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
The timing, man. Everybody was like, kind of like, man, guys are all right. They're different. It's whatever. Like, I'm shocked it went gold.
But Keo, I thank you though, because you walked out there, took the bullets, and then we took off.
It's true though.
You use Keo as a meat shield.
You know?
That's the thing though, especially for us, because we're, I guess, technically East Coast in Toronto. Like I don't know, like our music taste was definitely like New York.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All New York.
It's East Coast driven.
And,
100%.
Like I appreciated West Coast people, especially like like the Dre and like just the West Coast style. I appreciated it, but it wasn't. I was still East Coast. Like
100%.
it just was a thing for me. And
I don't disagree.
Outkast is in this middle somewhere. Like they weren't West, they weren't East, and Atlanta was just trying to figure out what their sound was. And I don't think they really found their sound until ATLiens.
Yeah, I think that's when they became like Outkast. They had a nice intro though, because let's say I'm a little different from the two of you guys. Well, I shouldn't say that totally, because yes, I was living in Montreal at that point, so completely East Coast driven, But I gotta give him a shout out to one of my family members, South Shore family member Kevin W, because I was giving him the story a few weeks back that I said, because I was telling him the idea that I had to do this episode. I was telling him that he was the one that actually introduced me to Outkast. So what we used to do when any one of us used to go to New York, right? There would be some guys that would be like, "Yo, here's $100, Keo. I want Timberlands. I want this. I want that. Give me a fat farm sweater. You know what I'm talking about."
Yeah, I know. We did it all. We all did it too.
But I was the guy that would give you a blank 90-minute tape and be like, "Yo, tape Hot 97 for me," right? I just want to hear Hot 97. I just want to hear what the hottest songs are at that time. I didn't care about the clothes. I wanted the music, right?
Yeah, I was the same way. I was the exact same way.
Yeah, I give you 1, 2, whatever. And even if I didn't give it to you, make sure you tape it so I can tape it off you after, right? When you came back.
I used to record the music videos.
That too.
That thing was
100%.
Yeah,
that too.
I came there with tapes for the music videos.
Yeah, video, music, box, all of it. Like that's all of it. But Kevin, he came back home and he brought back one of them Hot 97 tapes, and it had Southern Playlistic. But for some reason, I guess he didn't. It was one of those things where he just recorded and just let it record for whatever show. But it had Southern Playlistic on it. And I remember listening to it and being like, in the midst of all that stuff, I was like, yo, I kind of like this. It's for some reason, after a while, you just keep playing it over and over, the tape over and over. After a while, you're like, yo, I like that song. And then when I heard Players Ball, I was like, yo, Players Ball isn't bad either. I don't mind this either. And then when I heard
Players Ball was fire.
Yeah, Players Ball. I heard that. I was like, yo, that shit is all right. I like this too. And then when they came up with Get Up, Get Out, and Get Something, I was like, yo, I'm like, yo, I like these guys. Like, and everybody was looking at us like weird, like, who the fuck is Outkast? Get out of here. And I'm like, there's something about these guys. I don't know. But I'm like, I kind of like them,
These guys are always lyrical. And I think that I appreciate when they came out at that time, like everybody was rapping, man. Even the gangster rappers were rapping.
Yeah, you have to rap.
You got bars. Everybody had bars back then, but like for
it wasn't a gimmick.
From the South, yeah, you had to step it up. And they're spitting. Every album they've been spitting, but like you can appreciate them as being MCs too, and as well as entertainers.
100%, but at the same time, at least at that time, I didn't appreciate their lyricism yet. I was more like me. I was more of like
you like the music.
That was with the music, with the vibe, with the melodies, with the chorus, and then I get to the lyricism after. You know what I mean? So it was like if the beat hit me, that's what got me. If the vibe got me, that's what got me. So like Tribe I was huge on that. Tribe used to give me such a great feeling. But then after I was done and being entertained by that, then I would get into the lyrics and be like, oh shit, they're spitting some shit on here. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how it was with Outkast, at least at the beginning and like those early years and stuff. So yeah, but to your point, by the time I got to ATLians, then everybody was on the bandwagon. Like see, we weren't like the Die Easy fans like Chris, where you just pick the team that's hot. we were on the bandwagon early. We were on early.
In Chris's defense, though,
it was just a few of us. It was just a few of us on the bandwagon. It was just a few of us.
In Chris's defense, though, he was listening to the stuff before anybody else heard it.
That's true too.
So that's that. You don't have the people like, yo, this is fire too, like that in your background. You got to listen to it and be like, yo, this is hot, this is trash.
Yeah, because you got to play
time
it
for this.
Because then times
you got to play it. You have no time for it. You got to figure it out.
That's true.
And yeah, when you're in a record store or whatever, you're like, this is quick. You got 2 seconds. This is good. This is garbage. This is good. That's it. Yep. So it's just you got this time frame to figure out if you like it or not, and not even if you like it, if other people are gonna like it.
Yeah,
and especially up here, the people would not like it. I can tell you that.
Yeah, especially back then, before ATLians, before elevators and all that stuff. Yeah, you're right.
When I was getting records, like I got stuff that later on I got stuff that I liked, but mostly I was getting things that I thought I could play.
Right.
Like that was my mentality mostly.
Because you're trying to get on.
Yeah, because I'm trying to play and do parties and stuff like that. So I'm just thinking about, well, this is a good party song. This is whack. And so I didn't really start listening to albums like just for pure enjoyment until later on.
Right.
And yeah, like makes sense. The timing was good though, but yeah, for me personally, like we're listening to like Fooshnickens, like you know what I'm saying, like Black Moon. There's that kind of stuff.
There's so much stuff, man.
Oh my God!
Those are good days, man.
But think about it too. Think about it too. People don't realize their album, the Southern Playlistic album, debuted a week after Illmatic. So
yeah,
like that's to tell you. That's to tell you the kind of material that was out at the time.
Main source. Like there was so much stuff that time. Like just this regular listing. Stuff just listen to your car or whatever. Yeah, there was so much stuff.
The competition was stiff, man.
Yeah, you had to fight through so much stuff. And then the stuff from the West Coast before they were beefing was hitting too. Because before the East Coast West Coast thing, I remember those Hot 97 tapes. They were playing some West Coast stuff too. They were showing them love too. So there was, you're right. The competition was fierce, man.
But you know, it was regional. So like there wasn't a lot of crossover between the areas. Like I never listened to Southern stuff or West Coast stuff unless I went down there. Like everything was kind of stuck into your area.
You're right.
You really have the internet yet.
And you know
so
what?
I wouldn't blame us.
I kind of missed that a little bit too, where like you go to like certain places and they have a certain sound, and you're not going to really hear it other places. I did like that about like the 90s and stuff. Where you go to New York and it's like you heard certain songs that you didn't hear anywhere but New York. As big as New York was, there's still certain guys you wouldn't like. It wouldn't come out right away. It was just stayed in New York. Or if you went down south, you only heard that stuff there. You know what I mean?
Well, because the other thing too, we're getting the mixtape, so like you got Clue and these guys,
right?
Like it's just you could only get that if you lived in New York or you're around New York. That's all you could get.
That's true.
And so there was no Spotify. It's just what's in your area, because I don't think they had distribution for the whole like the all of America yet. Like it was just unique stuff to the area.
Yeah,
it's a huge factor. That's why I think it took so long for them to blow the way they did.
Man, you brought up elevators, man. You forget how much of a monster that was, man. Holy cow!
Yeah,
man. That song was crazy when that came out, man. But I want to talk a little bit about looking back now in terms of the Speakerboxx and Love Below, like when they elevated to ATLians, to Quemini, which I got 5 mics at the Source at the time. That was a classic. To Stankonia, which had some bangers on that. So when they finally got to this album now, right, the Speakerboxx and Love Below, looking back, how important were those lead singles and the videos for this album? In terms of the way you move and Hey Ya?
It was a huge deal because people were panicking about like, are they breaking up? What are they doing? And like it kind of gave confidence that Outkast is still Outkast, but it's different, like it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like it's there's something about it. Like those two songs could be more different than each other. Like,
I know.
like they're not even the same universe. And like Big Boy was giving you the don't worry, I still got rap on here. Don't worry,
I still
my
got the
boy's
club for
dressing
you.
crazy over here, but it's all good. Like there's something about that. I don't know. Like I like both of those singles, and for me, I was like, okay, I gotta buy it now. When I heard them, because
Mhm.
Hey Ya is a
I,
wild song, man. It is a wild song.
I
It
thought
defies
it was
logic.
genius though. Like
Yeah, no, it's
me personally,
genius.
I thought it was genius
Absolutely.
because it showed that what I liked about it is it showed that they weren't just rappers.
Yeah.
They're in a whole different atmosphere. Like most people I listened to back then, like rappers that I listened to, they were
Mhm.
just rappers. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you listen to like a gangster. Guru's not trying to do like what sounds like top 40. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Even though
Yeah.
he tried to do jazz, but when they came out with like Hey Ya and
Hmm.
the way you move, to me it just showed the level that they were on and why the name Outkast was perfect for them because they weren't
Hmm.
here to be what you're used to. They were coming from a whole different realm, and to show you that the mind works on like in so many different ways. You don't just have to be trapped in one lane.
Hmm.
They weren't afraid to show it. I gained so much respect for them when he came out
Oh
with
yeah.
a when I heard that song, I like my respect for like the whole group, but Andre especially. I was like, okay, this brother is different. He's not just here to be a rapper. You know what remind me of? I say the same thing about CeeLo. I love
Hmm.
CeeLo because you know how much people don't know CeeLo was a rapper.
I
When I
Yeah.
know.
see
Yeah.
younger
Yeah.
people, sometimes they go, "Wait a minute, CeeLo was a rapper," and I'm like, "Yo, that's genius right there. He showed you
And a nice rapper
more
too.
than
Yeah.
and a
Very
nice
nice
rapper.
rapper.
You know what it reminds
Yeah.
me of? I'm not gonna name names, but somebody I was in a studio once back in the '90s when I was
Hmm.
doing radio, and we were trying to come up with a party. And I remember I started to give my opinion. There was like a promoter in there, and we were in the
Hmm.
studio, and I was trying to come up with some ideas. And I remember somebody in the studio said, "Yeah, but you can't go on." He goes, "Chris, no offense, but you can't go on Chris's like to what Chris is saying, because Chris is just a DJ. Chris isn't a promoter." So he just, and I remember sitting there going, wow, what a small mind, because I'm a DJ, this person's saying like that's the only lane I could sit in. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
that always stuck in my head because even back then I was like, you're not, sometimes not all of us are sent here or came here just to do one thing. And people who
Hmm.
think like that, if you pay too much attention to them or listen to them, you don't give them the other sides of you. So
Yeah.
what I loved about Andre is he showed you. I don't care what everybody else thinks. I'm gonna show you the next side because I remember I saw him in an interview and he said
Hmm.
a friend of his listened to Aya and he said if you put that out, you're finished.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that
I
interview.
did.
I
I
saw that
And
still
he
have to
was
interview.
watch
like,
that one, the GQ one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I love that.
fascinating.
I love that because that's the common person.
Hmm.
Stay in your lane. If you're a rapper, be a rapper. If you're a such and such, be a such and such. It's like, like being a DJ. I grew up like R&B, hip hop DJ, but I'm Trini.
Hmm.
So my father was a DJ. So, before me, so I grew up, even though I did R&B parties back in the 90s,
Hmm.
usually when we played the soca set, it was usually I'm the one who was DJing, who was playing the soca set. But a lot of people
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
catch it. So I say that to say this when I eventually went what I call going back home to, the genre you were raised on. I mean, you were raised on everything, but the genre that represents where you're from. When I went to the soca community now, and I
Hmm.
joined like the Revelers or Jamal and them, I started doing soca. I had a
Hmm.
lot of DJs that weren't happy about that because they looked at me as just an R&B hip hop DJ, old school funk, this and that. Why am I here playing soca? And I was like, okay, there goes that small mind thinking again. This guy's only here like me to do one thing. Why is he over here
Hmm.
now? Like
Oh, look,
anything you
look,
do
look.
in life, that's the trick. Don't get caught up in what other people think. If you're somebody that can juggle more than one, juggle it.
Hmm.
You know what I
No,
mean?
but
And
that's the appeal of the Outcast is to do
yeah,
crazy stuff that's not supposed. Like, think about their. Okay, go back and look at all the singles: "Skewered on a Barbecue," "Rosa
Skewing
Parks,"
on the Barbie.
"B.O.B.,"
it's cute.
"Miss
Yeah,
Jackson." So fresh, so clean.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, their singles, they don't match anything that's on the radio at the time.
It's true.
It's not even
Yeah.
close. Like Elevator, like everybody's doing fast songs or faster songs than Elevator. Elevator's coming out a slow ass song. They're like, F it, we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna do what we want. And it's great. I appreciate more than anything else the fact that they're in their own zone, just doing whatever they felt like. Just whatever
Yeah.
came to them at the moment.
As long as
Like
it was
that,
quality.
yeah, I think that's one of the best features about the group. Because like no one knew what to expect from the Speakerboxx Love Below. Nobody had any idea what this thing was gonna be.
Yeah.
And when you find out like Big Boy's gonna be on one album, Andre's gonna be on the other album, and you're like, okay, well, how's that gonna work?
Are they
These
breaking
guys
up?
are used to going off each other or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the Big Boy has I wouldn't say typical, but like a southern album that's mostly rap, and then Andre has like some kind of play. I think it's the best way to describe it. It's kind of like a play
Yeah.
or like a theater experience, or like
Yeah.
a story.
Mhm.
It's like a whole story. And the first time I heard the album all the way through, initially I was like, Andre his album was good, but Big Boy's album was better. The first time I heard it, that was my initial thoughts. And then ever since, I'm like, Andre created a masterpiece that is beyond our years
Yes.
on a genius level. It's so far in advance. Like people will be studying this for years to come. And then I appreciate Big Boy's album, but like you had to sit down and think about what Andre was doing. Because the first time you hear it, you're just like, oh, okay, there's some song. He's singing, he's rapping. All right. Then you listen to it, you're like, what the hell? This is genius.
Yo,
And he
A lot of
produced the
people
whole
weren't ready
album.
for it just yet, though.
They were not ready. They were
Yeah.
not ready. It's incredible. To this day, this album's still on my Apple Music, Spotify.
Well, Keo,
And-
if you think about it, it's about growth, right? Somebody once told me this. This brother Ramadeen, where I remember he said, if you take seeds and you throw seeds on concrete, nothing happens to it, right?
Mhm.
And he
Yeah.
said, but you take those same seeds and throw it on fertile soil, and it flourishes. To me, that was us. Like we were concrete at that time.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
yeah,
guys
yeah.
like him, guys like CeeLo, they come along, and sometimes they come along to where we're still concrete.
Mhm.
So whatever
Yeah.
they bless us with, we're like, man, what the hell is this? Because we're not open yet. But as soon as our mind gets more open, now
Yeah.
we get it. Now it's like, yo, hold on, like this is some hot shit. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
all it is. Our minds opened up. We went back to what our parents, listened to, what our grandparents listened to. We created rock and roll,
Mhm.
right? So, and then, I mean, think about this. We created rock and roll, but then somebody comes and throws something at us that sounds like rock and roll, and we're like, what the hell is this? Because we're so caught up in the hip hop lane at the time.
right.
It's supposed to be in a box somewhere. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Mentally, it's got to be in a box. It's got to fit somewhere neatly. And Outkast does not fit.
They don't fit.
Yeah, I would equate it to Nerd with them Pharrell and Chad Hugo.
Yeah.
Their music does not fit. It's not supposed to go in a box, and I appreciate that for them. Like I've gone back and just rebought the albums just to have them, just to have the vinyl in my house
Yeah.
for all of the
Nice.
Outkast and Nerd.
And
because
Nerd.
I'm like, this is stuff that I want to appreciate it 20 years from now. I give it to the kids, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like whatever nonsense they're gonna be listening to there, and you're like, this is some good stuff your dad listen to. Like that's how I'm looking at it, because these things are gems.
Yeah.
Especially Outkast, these are gems. Like if you go back and watch the music videos, like they have girls, they're twerking, they're doing all this stuff on there, and these guys are spitting life lessons in their songs.
Mhm.
So like they catch you with this other stuff, Big Boy is saying pimp and all this other stuff, and then Andre's coming here and spitting life lessons about, and ATLiens, they're talking about like how much money they make, and he said, I'm on the same level as you, but it's I forgot what the lyric. It was like, I got more beats than the average man, but I got not enough to last me to the week. I forgot what the lyric was, but like the whole point that lyric, like it hit me in the face, like, oh damn, man, because everybody's thinking when you become successful, you're gonna be safe. You're gonna be in your $1 million mansion, like Biggie or whatever.
You're untouchable.
And you're just gonna be chilling. You're untouchable. Life is good. And he's like, I got a daily job, just like you do. I got different problems, just at a bigger level. And these are life lessons, man. All these albums have crazy stuff in them that it can change your life if you think about it.
But you got to be ready.
Yeah, you got to be ready though. It's a concrete thing.
Yeah.
Just in preparing for this, when I decided to go back and listen to the album again, like I listened to it straight, from front to back for both sides. And to your point, Keel, you stole the words out of my mouth. When you listen to the Andre 3000 side, when you listen to the Love Below side, and I'm going to touch on more points on this. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper to it a little bit later, but it's just, I'll say that so far to match with you, it's a masterpiece. When you go back and listen to it now, you're like, holy shit. Like, this was really at top to bottom of like an absolute masterpiece. Both sides are cinematic, but like that side for real is like just a complete masterpiece. The only thing I would disagree with you on was that from day one I was on the Andre 3000 side. Even though he was singing, I was more like, no, don't get me wrong, I like the Big Boy side, but it was just something so unique about the Andre 3000 side. When you feel like you're listening to something that's like historic at the time, and you're just like, I know there's something, I don't know what it is, but there's something really special about this side that I just kept, even though and back then, like I had it on the MP3 CDs, you know what I'm saying? But it's like I always kept it to the Love Box, the Love Below side. But
what's funny, Calvin? I hate to cut you, but what you just said is so true, because where I kind of came from is I more felt that there was something different and special about that guy.
Yeah.
So even though I like the group, by their second album, there was something about him where I saw him as a like almost like a how could I put it, like a universal artist,
like a rock star.
I didn't see him as a rapper. I saw him as a rock star. He had a rock star energy to him.
Yeah, but he always presented himself, I would say, from the second album
always
presented himself as something bigger than rap.
Yeah.
Like, for the regular people, the normies, he's wearing crazy clothes, but like all the clothes and stuff he's doing has something to do with the album. Like, it goes along with it. There's a theme going on here, but he's always presented himself like that. He's bigger than rap, and it's important. Whoever he's about to say is important. Did you see the interview that Andre had? He's talking to, isn't that the GQ interview?
I think it's the same GQ, yeah.
And he's talking to a guy, and Andre's telling him how Prince called him, and he's telling him
in the laundromat, right?
Yeah. He said you are bigger than you realize, as far as how important you are, and it's a shame, man. I feel like it's the same way, like with Lauryn Hill. I feel like we could have got more albums.
Of course,
like, it bothers me. It bothers me.
It's a shooting star with her.
Yeah.
She's a shooting
star. But you know what? But you know what, though, Kia? It's funny. I totally agree with Lauryn Hill, and it bothered me because I felt we could have gotten more out of Lauryn Hill. I never got that feeling with Andre, though. Here's why. I always felt like Andre, where I respected Andre, is I always felt like he wasn't meant for the industry, but he's in the industry. True. So because of that, I always felt like if he forced another album, it might come out as trash. And he could only give us another album when he's ready, and if he's ever ready. And if he's never ready, it's like we're programmed to always want more. But sometimes some people are here to give us like 2 or 1 or maybe 5, but we want 10, 20. And if you don't, they're like, man, what's wrong with this guy? He's a bust, or he's this, he's that. But sometimes that person's only here for a short time. And I don't mean life-wise, but sometimes their talent is a short window. They're going to give you everything. And then because the industry is so much not them, they're going to step back now. And that's how I saw him. It's almost like he went back in the woods. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? Not to cut you guys off, but let's save the Andre 3000 conversation, because that's coming. That's coming.
Yeah.
I have a second for Andre 3000. That's coming. I guess to answer my own question, though, I feel like It was a stroke of genius for those two singles to be released at the same time because to me it tapped into a few things. It tapped into the uniqueness of the moment, just considering the music that was out at that point. The Way You Move was, to give credit to Big Boy, that was a dope video. And the main girl in the video, that was every man's dream. Every man's dream.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I remember buying the King magazine episode. That's not episode, but I remember buying the edition of King magazine just because she was on the cover. I saw it. I literally saw it. I threw it right on the register. Like, ring it up right now.
Just come with me. Yeah.
Nothing else. Just because of that video. And I think the story was I think it was his sister-in-law. It was his sister-in-law. Like, I think he had begged her for years to try to do a video, and she finally said, okay, fine, I'll do the video. And then the song was huge. Yeah, the song was huge, but her being in the video took it to another level, too. You know what I mean? That was every man's dream. Go back and watch that video again. Oh, my God. And she was like a fitness model or something. Oh, whew, Lord. Okay, all right, let me fan myself off. But I also... But also, I think it also, just to the points that you guys are making, like it reflected the outside of the box point of view that was Outkast, right? And I think the different personalities that reflected the two of them, because The Way You Move was for black radio, it was for the clubs, it was for the streets, and Hey Ya was for the crossover appeal. It was made for just popular radio, but then somehow it still affected the streets because it was that great of a record. Which didn't make sense.
Genius.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it didn't make sense.
Because he's playing all the parts in the video, and it's just such a unique sounding song that he's singing. And you can point to anybody and ask them lyrics from the song, and they'll know it.
Of course,
there's classic parts of this song that's ridiculous.
So many parts.
Shake it like a sausage, like all this stuff. There's so much to like. It's weird, man. Just going back and listening to it again, it's weird. Like these are types of songs that can come out today and they'll be a hit.
Yeah,
right now,
timeless.
2023, they would be a hit. Yeah, it didn't matter. And that's another thing I appreciate about Outkast. Like their songs they don't sound dated. They don't sound like they're stuck in the era. Like a lot of these other rappers, like that I I personally like them, and I met a bunch of them, but I'm like, this stuff is timeless. The Speakerboxx Love Below is timeless. 20 years from now, you can still listen to it and it'll be fine. You won't even have to think twice about it.
Like we're doing now.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's incredible.
And I think that's the heart of those two lead singles. That's why to me it's probably one of the most. It's unique because you never really see an album that has two lead singles for their.
It never happened.
No, it never happens. But the fact that they both hit so heavy, you know what I mean, was just like it just took them to like a supernova, like a different planet. Like they weren't on Earth anymore when they did that. Because even at that time, it's really impressive for those two tracks to come together like that, because it washed over everything that was happening towards the end of 2003. Because like I said at the beginning of the pod, like 50 Cent G-Unit, in terms of hip hop, they owned 2003.
They killed it. Yeah,
they owned 2003. They were like almost nothing else existed in 2003 other than 50 Cent and G-Unit. Like that, they washed over everything. And then the only thing that took them off the radar was when Kanye released Jesus Walks. Like up until from the time they dropped until Kanye released Jesus Walks, it was all Outkast. Like for everything, not just hip hop, like just everything. Like it was such a monster. Like that's the only thing that kind of maybe took them off the radar a little bit was Jesus Walks. But for that 6-7 month period, it was all Outkast, but like I said, that was a good time for hip hop. So for the fact that they just washed over everything like that, and they kind of came in the back door, it was crazy to see.
I don't think everyone was expecting it, really.
No.
I think they knew the album was coming, but they didn't know what it was going to be, and I don't think they were expecting this. Because that's the one thing. Like every Outkast album has a weird single that you're like, this is never going to work, and it works. Like Bombs Over Baghdad shouldn't be a hit record. But think about it. Bombs Over Baghdad should not be a hit record, but it is. It's a huge record. It went platinum. It's a huge record. It's like it's a thing that shouldn't exist. Like it doesn't make sense. Doesn't match anything on the radio. You can't even mix it into anything.
No.
Like the tempo is it's such a weird tempo, and yet it's a hit. You play it, people are gonna dance. Like it's just a thing.
Your kids will listen to it. You will listen to it.
Yeah.
Your mama's gonna listen to it.
Yeah.
Your auntie's gonna listen to it. Your grandma's gonna listen to it. People in church might listen to it. Every race, color, and creed's gonna listen to it. Like that song was, it touched everybody, and nobody got tired of it. Like that was the crazy part.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty, right? They made music, not just hip hop.
Yes.
Right.
Because they're focused on making an album and making art. Because the artists now, everybody's moved past I'm a rapper. They're trying to be in social media. They're trying to be on TV, make whatever. Everyone's goal is not to be a rapper. It's the next step after. And I think that's why the music's so terrible now, is because everyone's already stepped over the first step. They haven't even finished it yet.
Which you need the
They've
first
already
step to
moved on.
make you go past the second level.
But like all the greatest artists ever, the first step was the only step.
Right.
And if anything happened after it because of how big they were, that was great. But the first step was to be an artist. And like Prince is the artist. Like that was Michael Jackson. Everyone's artist first. They were trying to make a good song, a good album, whatever.
Michael Jordan,
today,
basketball player, just
basketball, same thing.
The shoes became
Like,
the
the
shoes
goal
only
was to
because
be-
of who he was.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but the goal wasn't to make some shoes and
Right.
get a deal with Nike. The goal was to be a basketball player and win.
Right.
And that culturally, everybody's jumped over 18 flight of stairs to get to the next level, and you didn't even finish the first step yet. You didn't even get on the first step yet. Dude,
Right.
I was trying to manage some artists and get them signed, and all of them were like, well, once we get this album out, I'm gonna be on TV and I'm gonna go do this. And I'm like, get the album out first. What are we doing here? That was the mentality for everybody. I was like, well, once we get over this, we're gonna do this other thing, and that's a huge loss that we have from music, is that no one wants to be an artist.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's a huge deal.
For sure, but it's funny because like with Hey Ya and I just believe that like there was no artist that could have gotten away with making that record or even have the balls to try to get away with that. And I think
as
that's
rap
maybe
music,
CeeLo.
no.
Maybe CeeLo.
I don't know though because and the thing,
I think CeeLo could have. I think CeeLo could have pulled it off.
but yeah, you know what? You're
that's
probably
from
right. But that's afterwards.
Chris
though.
was right, but that's because of them. He could do that.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
they came first and then made the lane to do that, make that a possibility.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
there was no other rap artist that was trying to think of an album like this,
Yeah, that's true.
or not even just forget this album. Like the other previous albums before that, there was no artist gonna make a weird single, like whatever they're doing, and not even weird. Weird's the wrong term for it, but like a different song. That
it was risky.
Yeah,
That could have been like career ending.
Yeah, absolutely. But like in Criminal, like Rosa Parks is a wild song, man.
Yeah.
I know they got sued for it, which is ridiculous. I still don't like that lawsuit, but like it's a wild song that doesn't match anything. And
what about Spotty that Dopalicious or whatever it's
Dopalicious?
called?
Yeah.
Dopalicious, like that.
Yeah.
Again, what hip hop song is making artists is making a record like that? That shit
Insane.
you're still playing that now. You can still play
Honestly,
that right now.
that's my favorite song from the album, to be honest.
Oh no, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I listen to that song, I just vibe out, listen to it. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And the trumpets come on, I'm like, yo.
Yeah,
it's a feeling you get. Like instantly when I hear it, it takes me right back to when the album came out, when I bought the album. Instantly. And there's not a lot of music. Like when you hear Michael Jackson like Off the Wall or something like that, it just takes you back to where you were as a kid. Like this is what these songs do for me. They instantly take me back. And that's why it's on my phone. I still play them today. Because I love that feeling I got when I listened to it. Like what I was doing, like just everything about it. It feels
It's
good.
funny. When you say when the horns came in, my favorite part about that song was the instrumental.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I used to sometimes just play the instrumental at home and just sit back and listen to the instrumental like I was listening to jazz or something.
Yeah, it's got such a crazy feeling to it. The organized noise doesn't get enough credit or appreciation. Like
No, they
they, you
don't.
know, they're involved in this. They set this up, and
Oh, I didn't
like
know
as
that.
far as the production crew, yeah, they're so vital to the sound of the Outkast. Like the first 3-4 albums, they
Oh,
did it,
absolutely.
and then Andre took over
Wow.
production. Really, but like organized noise, they're so important to the sound for all of the crew. Like
Yeah, because it
yeah,
was there was
everybody in the crew.
Goody Mob and all of them too, right? Like Goody
Yeah,
Mob and
yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah. They're very important to the South.
Is it
Basically,
the Dungeon
the
family?
Dungeon family. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They're very important. But the enigma, and I guess this is why I was saving the Andre part. For we've been talking about him, but we got to talk about him some more because he's an enigma.
Yeah.
Right? Because at
Yeah.
that point in Andre's career, like to me, he forever solidified himself as a rock star because of Hey Ya. And everybody loved him as his eccentric character. And I know we were talking about them being lyricists and stuff back then, but did you expect him from that point on to make this pivot to be recognized as one of the greatest lyricists ever? Because,
No,
Honestly,
I could say no.
Because I think that's how
No.
people see him now.
No,
Yeah.
I would say I didn't expect it, but I knew he was different. I wasn't sure. Like for me to sit back and go, oh, I expected Andre to be like who he became. This, I'd be lying. But I can't. But I'm telling the truth when I say there was something about him that was different. So what
You knew
kind
he
of
was
pulled
a
me
star.
to him? Yeah, what pulled me to him is I like different. I'm one of those guys. I don't like to hear everybody sounding the same.
Yeah.
So like that's why hip hop like today bothers me. I like uniqueness. I like people that step out on that limb, and you don't know what's gonna happen to them. Kind of like how I made Keo step out on the limb to start off the show.
Yeah, right.
Like
You try to
Fair
meet,
enough.
you
like
try to meet Shield in that part.
but I like when people step out on the limb and it's like, listen, what I'm about to do right now, I might be finished. Like I might be wiped out. You may not even know of me next year, but it's who I am, and I gotta show you who I am. Otherwise, I can't function properly. So because this is who I am, I gotta do it, and then they do it. And I love people like that. So I sensed something different with him. I just didn't know if he was gonna hit a wall or if he was gonna become a rock star. But he definitely had rock star energy. You know what I mean?
That's the crazy part about it was that he's always been spitting, and I think people appreciated him, but they didn't think of him as like it's always the Jay-Z, Biggie, Nas kind of thing.
Right.
But like Andre deserves to be in that conversation. He's got bars upon bars on every album, without fail, too.
Yeah.
And his like if he does a guest star on something, he's spitting crazy.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a shame that he hasn't gotten his flowers like that more, because he's gotten it like for us, we're old heads now, so for us we're like, yo, Andre, put him in that thing. But like people are talking like, oh, Lil Wayne's better or whatever, but like I don't see that. I see Andre as one of the best that's ever stepped to a microphone on so many levels. Yeah. Creatively, as one level, lyrically, for bars, that's another level, and like just doing the music and all that other stuff. Like just there's so much stuff, so many facets to it that it's a shame that people don't look at it like that. But other thing too is that if you're not an Outkast fan, you probably wouldn't think of him like he's a lyricist, but he is.
He is, definitely.
Yeah, and I think it's a disservice to him, because I mean even Big Boy spits, but like it's a disservice to Andre that he's not looked at like that. It's the same way I look at Dog Pound. Like people don't look at Dog Pound as spin, but Corrupt is a monster on the microphone.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And we don't appreciate it because they're doing gangster rap, but like Corrupt is a monster.
Yeah.
He doesn't get called up like this. It don't make any sense to me.
Like I agree. You know what? Wow, this just came to mind. Um,
Hmm.
Outkast kind of also, it kind of reminds me of Outkast. Also, when I used to see two of them perform, one just felt like a rock star, like he had the rock
Hmm.
star energy. To me, it was Mos and Talib.
Mm,
When I used to when
Yeah.
I
yeah,
used to watch those two,
yeah,
something about Mos
yep.
instantly I gravitated towards Mos.
Yeah.
Something about him, like instantly, I was like, "There's something about this guy's energy gives me rock
Hmm.
and roll energy."
Yeah.
I love Talib. Don't get me wrong, I love Talib,
Yeah.
but something
Yeah.
about Mos, I was like, "Yo, this isn't a regular dude right now." And when I heard
Hmm.
how they
Super
move with the
talented.
when I heard
Super talented.
yeah, when I heard how they move with the bookstore, like when they bought the bookstore and
Hmm.
it's like it further confirmed that this brother's different.
Yeah.
Even though it was two of them involved, it was still like I was still like this brother's different. If given the chance, this guy's gonna shake shit up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
I mean, there would be a Kanye without these two guys.
yeah,
He's
No,
they're vital to his growth to be a rapper.
as well as
Vital
yeah,
Andre,
to it. Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well as Andre actually too, right?
Yeah.
And to your most point, like I came across some Michael Jackson video from the '90s or something like that, and I didn't realize I forgot what the video was. It was almost like a Halloween video, music video. I wasn't listening to Michael Jackson at that point. This is like mid '90s, and Most Def was in the video. Most Def was in the video,
you
acting in the
serious?
video. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't remember the name of
Yeah.
the song, but I
Yeah. I know
watched
what
it
you're
again.
talking
You
about.
know
I
which
can't
video I'm
remember the
talking about,
song.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're talking
And
about.
he had like a big speaking role in it and stuff. And I'm like, yo, wait a minute. I'm like, yo, is that Most Def? And I looked again. I'm like, yo, that's Most Def. And then between the
Wow.
acting and like, because even there's a movie and forget like the Italian Job and all that stuff. Like he's
Yeah.
in a movie called Something the Lord Made, where he's basically like playing the role of he's playing the role of like an assistant to a white doctor back in like the 40s and the 50s.
No, I know what
You know
I know
what
what
I'm
you're
talking about, right? Where he was the one that
Yeah, I
was
saw it.
actually
Mm.
Yeah.
doing all the surgeries, but the white guy was getting the credit for it. And then he finally like couldn't do the surgery. He had to call him from out the janitor room to help him with the surgery. But Most Def was
Yeah.
playing that role, and I'm like, yo, like this guy should have been a supernova himself.
Mhm.
When you talk
Absolutely.
about him, like he
Yeah.
was a disgusting talent, like such a talented actor. He did stuff with the
Yeah.
Cosbys and yo, the guy was super talented. Can you say Cosbys? Anyway,
Yeah.
we could
Yeah, yeah.
super talented stuff. He was
Fair enough,
such
fair
a
enough.
talented dude. Such a
But
talented.
but I think but that's the beauty about life, that I think there's people that's sent to this planet, or that's either asked to come to this planet or sent to this planet that's different. And sometimes because we're so caught up in our ego and our bullshit, we don't realize that there's people that's walking amongst us that's different. So sometimes you see it and you sense it. We even have friends like that. Like you have certain friends that you've met in your lifetime where you're like, yo, this brother's different, and he may not excel to a high level, but you knew he could have. Like we have a friend of the family's. He was a
Yeah.
friend of my father's, Junior Calvin.
Mhm.
Like this guy could talk shit. It was like hanging with Eddie Murphy. And I was like, how was this guy never put on stage? Like nobody tried to convince him to go on stage, and he wouldn't even try. It was just bang, bang, bang,
Yeah.
bang. If you insulted him before your lips closed, he had an insult coming back for you. It's like once you're around him, it's like he just talks so much smack. And even to this day, he's like, well, he's got to be like in his late 60s, 70, whatever. Even to this day, when you talk to him, he talks pure jokes. It's pure shit talking. So you start to realize there's people that's here that's different. And if you don't get in their way, you can they can shake up the world. But a lot of them get distracted, and people put them back in the box.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
self-inflicted. Most
Yeah.
stuff is self-inflicted. I'll be honest, right? And Talib, they're both self-inflicted. They could have
Yeah.
been bigger than they were.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
most
they
definitely
that's it.
feels like he could have been a lot further,
Yeah.
further. You know?
Oh yeah, musically
'Cause that-
and everything.
that-
Because his solo album was phenomenal.
Oh,
Yeah.
listen, I couldn't stop playing that.
Right.
I remember I went to a music conference, and that song helped me through the music conference. The 3-4 days I was at the music conference alone, I must
Yeah.
have played that song in my headphones like 1,000 times, man.
There's a bunch of
I
songs on
You
there.
talking about Umi Set?
yeah, I loved it. Say that again?
You talking about Umi Says?
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I'm saying, there's a bunch of songs on that album. Mathematics.
Oh no, it's a classic. That's a certified
Mathematics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You know, one of my favorite is off that album too. It's Mr. Nigga and New World Water.
Yeah. That's brilliant. That song is brilliant.
Sit back, listen to the lyrics of that. I mean, he's telling you so much.
Yeah, it's like solid information. It still applies today, which is incredible.
Yep.
Well,
guys are amazing.
To circle back to Andre, and this is what I wanted to say too about the Love Below, is I think we were talking about this a little bit, Keo. I think, but like listening to that album again, he really was the father to all this emo material.
Yeah.
Like,
we did talk about it,
right? Like to be able to rap about emotions and love and relationships, like human relatable shit. You know what I mean? In a way that we quite haven't heard before to that level. Like he made it sound so cinematic, like a Dr. Dre. Like in those terms, to me, he became like the forefather to Kanye West, to Drake, to Kid Cudi, and everybody else that came after that. Because he spent most of the album singing. And he's not a singer, but he made it work. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, to me, my favorite songs, like even back then and until now, was She Lives in My Lap and Prototype. Those two songs,
man.
Those two songs are the most original works that I think we've ever heard in hip hop. It's like Prince and Jimi Hendrix and a little bit of George Clinton, you know, got mixed in with some hip hop in a pot, cooked under slow pressure for an hour, and those two songs came out.
Yeah.
Like to me, those two songs are like when I listen back to it again, especially She Lives in My Lap, and I'm like, yo, like this shit is out of this world.
That song gets you in the feels. It gets you in the feels listening to it.
Yeah, it's
so emotional.
World. It's out of this world.
Yeah.
It's out of this world.
And I miss music like that. Like that album takes me back to like stuff in the 70s, like Marvin Gaye kind of stuff. Like it just takes me back. Like listening to samples or whatever. Like there's something about it that it feels interesting. You know, you listen to songs today and it's just a thing that happened and wasted your time.
Right.
But like this album, like it feels like it's something. I can't explain it, but like it's just something that when you listen to it, like you're just like it takes you somewhere, like mentally, it takes you somewhere. You know, you're thinking about it after.
And great music is supposed to do that for you. And that's why I said to you before, like to you guys before, where sometimes when I listen to music, depending on what the music was, especially if it was on a great level, I didn't always just focus on the lyrics right away, depending on the artist. Yeah. Like if it was Biggie stuff, I listened to everything, but I listened to the lyrics. Definitely focused on that first. But like for certain, or like a Tribe, for example, it was like. I listened to it to give me a vibe, to give me that feeling. You know what I mean? And
like the Midnight Marauders thing.
Yeah, and then afterwards it's like, okay, now I'll focus on the lyrics. And to me, that's what this was. It was like it gave you like you were feeling something that was like I said before, it was historical. You didn't know what it was, but it just felt so different that you knew like this is something that you're gonna remember, like 20 years now later, where we're doing a podcast about it. But like. That's how you felt like. You felt like you're going to be talking about this years later. As much as I love Hey Ya, like those two songs to me are like, those are like the genius level songs as well. Like that's on the level of that too. You know what I mean? At least to me.
Yeah, it's because it's a movie. Like he's talking about like a love. Like
right.
It's a movie.
It's making you think, basically.
Layers. Yeah.
Like even the interlude before Prototype, Where Are My Panties? Like even that part where him and the girl laying in the bed and the girl is like talking about, oh my God, and everybody's been in that situation where like you talk to after and the girl's like, man, I messed with you that night, and she's like, man, I thought you were gonna think I was this and that, and the guy's on the other side, and he's like, man, I know she must think I'm this, but like, it's not like that, you know what I mean? And he's like, I'm falling in love. No, I can't fall in love. And you hear in the background, ice cold. Like, like all that shit is genius. Like that's real life shit. Yeah. That is real life stuff that happens every day that we all relate to one way or another. You know what I mean? You're trying to stay hard, but it's like, but I'm falling for this person. And to me, that's like I said, for him to use hip hop as a platform to show those expressive creative talents to do that is, to me, is like, to your point, Chris, you're right. Like, it's genius level. You know what I mean? It's a rock star, out the box type of thing where it's
the human element in, right?
Mm-hmm. And
he brought in the human element.
Right.
Big Boy just put out an album, I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Called The Big Sleepover.
Right.
With Sleepy Brown on it. That album is fire, man. That album is spectacular, musically. But I mean, we've been talking about, Andre, and rightfully so, all this time. And Big Boy slept on, but like, he's so vital to this group.
He really is.
Oh yeah.
On a level that you don't really appreciate until they're not together. But like, think about this, right? You have a double album, and there's plenty of songs. You could just skip over, just go to Andre's part. But I don't. I play the whole thing through.
Yeah.
Like I never just skip over just Andre's part. I always play the whole album from top to bottom. And like I don't know. It's something about I don't think Big Boy gets enough like credit for being there. Because I think that people look at them like, I wouldn't say like Tribe. It's more like Naughty by Nature, where you had Tretch and Vinny.
You're right.
There's like a disparity between the two of them, like as far as who you want to listen to. I never look at Andre like that in Big Boy. Like, I want to hear both of them.
Neither do I. I agree with you. Neither do I, actually.
Yeah, the first album is great. The second album is greater, but it's still great. Like, there's no question about it. I wish, because Andre was talking about the last show that they did and how terrible it was, and he's like, I'm already on my couch sleeping. Like, he's like, I don't even want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And
he checked out.
Yeah, he checked out, and like that saddens me because I've never got to see them in concert before, ever.
Me neither.
I've been to a bunch of concerts and I've never seen these two guys before. I mean, how often were they in Canada? It wasn't a lot.
Well, the one time they were supposed to come, I remember they got turned back at the border.
Yeah,
I remember that show. They were supposed to come and they couldn't. They were supposed to cross over, and I think somebody in the I think the story was somebody in their camp had a record and they didn't clear it. I was like, man, these guys are some good-hearted brothers, because me, I would have been like, bruh, find the airport.
When we get back.
Yep, like he would have to know, like, listen, you can roll with us to all these cities, but you see when we hit Buffalo, New York, and we're heading into Canada, if it doesn't happen, you got to figure it out from Buffalo, New York, bruh. Either go to the next city, the next U.S. city we're going to enter from, or go back to the ATL. But you ain't costing me this money. You know what I mean?
It hurts my heart that I never got to see them perform, man.
Yeah, same here.
It bothers me.
Same here.
And I mean,
totally
you probably
agree.
see Big Boy at these shows, but like, I want to see both of them together.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you see, it's funny you said that. I saw LL did the cruise, like the
I remember
the Rock the Bells cruise.
Yeah.
And I saw Big Boy on it, like performing. He was one of the artists performing. And it was funny because I saw him doing one of their tracks, and it was weird, like, like he had like his hype. Yeah, like he had his hype man with him, but it still wasn't the same. You know what? I feel sorry for guys like that, because De La Soul's gonna always be like that. If Tribe ever comes out, Tribe is gonna always be like that. There's certain groups they'll never. It's kind of like Earth, Wind and Fire. After Maurice died, Earth, Wind and Fire was never the same to me.
It's not the same.
You know what I mean? Even though they had people take his place and stuff, that voice just wasn't there. That's how it felt seeing Big Boy on the stage. It was like, there's somebody missing though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Wu-Tang's the same thing with ODB. Like, it's not the same.
Yeah, that's true.
I think his son is performing now, but it's just not the same.
Yeah,
it's not the same.
I've seen Wu-Tang perform, and like, not having ODB there, it's just doesn't feel right.
Did you see them with
the
ODB?
whole time you're watching it? Like, no, I saw them with ODB back in the day.
Yeah, I never did.
And to see them now, it's like, it's not right, man. Some of them don't feel right.
Yeah,
it's sad because the people we're talking about, like, their partners passed.
Yeah,
so it's hard when your partner didn't.
Still do it though. That's the problem. More than anything else, that it angers me. They can still do a show.
Hold that thought,
show, it was still out.
Hold the thought. Hold the thought. we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. But there's a question I gotta ask you guys though too, because before I get to that to the question, because to me the last song on the Love Below, the Incomplete, to me that was the initial seed that was planted that led to the legendary lyrics afterwards. Because from everything from International Players Anthem to even the Farnsworth Bentley song, if you remember the Farnsworth Bentley song, for you guys to take it back, like that song is fire because Kanye West is under production, but what Andre does to that to the second half of that song is dumb, right? And his skill is so detailed, and it shows you that like we'll let you be creative if you got that gift, and you also protect that gift too. You know what I mean? Like we can let you be eccentric as long as you're protecting that gift. Like to take in the basketball terms. Like, we love Dennis Rodman until Dennis Rodman didn't protect the gift of rebounding and defense anymore. Then after that, he just became a crazy guy, and now he's a reality TV guy hanging on for dear life. But until,
he became Draymond.
Yeah, exactly. Like we'll deal with your stuff as long as you're protecting the gift. But once that gift, you're not protecting that gift anymore, that's the starts to erode, then we don't take you the same way anymore. Which... And if, for example, like that one of his last features that he did, Life of the Party, on Kanye's last album, Donda, like he shows you he's still a high level lyricist, artist. Like he's still at the top level. There's no like drop down. He's still at the top level, which leads me to his flute album, the Blue Moon, the New Blue Sun, right? And I want to ask you guys this: like, how far are we willing to let our artists veer? Because to me, I know part of the reason why he hasn't come out with his own solo album in terms of rapping is because he even said it too in past interviews, the pressure of him to put out a masterpiece. When he's not 100% sure how to top like even the Love Below, and now being at this stage of his life, does he even want to deal with that pressure? So for you guys, like, how far are we willing to let our artists veer?
Okay, the toughest part is, can you match your creativity that you had 20 years ago? Like, him playing the flute, like Andre playing the flute, is a safe bet because it's new and he's can complete control over what that thing can be, what it sounds like, and how people respond to it. Whereas if he has to make another Love Below Speakerboxx album, I don't think it's in him because he took so much time off. And, he was saying in interviews how, like, he wasn't feeling it back then. So I could only imagine where he is mentally right now.
Yeah.
And, it's a shame. Honestly, it's a shame. But this is one of those things where you can't stop it and, like, just pop back on the boat. You can't. Like, it's going to be different. And I don't personally believe that people will accept him being too different. Where as far as rap goes, they're expecting Love Below.
Or something at least.
I don't think it's in there. At least somewhere level of comparable.
Like, yeah.
Because perfect example of this is the Tribe album. I hate that album, man. I'll tell you that.
Oh, the last one?
My boys, I've known them a long time. The last album, I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
same here.
It doesn't feel right. I have all of the other albums on vinyl. I got I got all that stuff for the other album. That last album, I refuse to buy them. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Now, I was there when they did the opening thing. Right after Fife died, I went to the funeral.
Yeah.
And they were playing in a Jeep. And I'm just sitting in the backseat like, this is trash. But I can't see nothing. Everyone's like, it's the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, this is trash. Oh, man. Like, the feeling in your soul, it just sank. Like, I was looking at my brother like, yo, we should go home, man. Like, that's my feeling. I was like, I don't even want to go to the show. Whatever after party they're doing after this thing. I don't even want to see it. I'm like, this is, oh my God. It didn't feel right. Like, it just felt like something was missing, like musically, or something was off. Andre's going to have that exact same problem. Something's going to be off. But he shouldn't, though, because he can still rap, and they still got beats. Big Boy's album is phenomenal.
Because even Big Boy's put out solo stuff, and this stuff is dope. To your point, right? Like even the Purple All Stars, back in the mid 2000s, you could find me in the hey, you remember that like all that, like he was still putting out bangers.
Yes, let's say like it's not a music thing. I think it's an energy thing. Like he's died. Like his heart's not in it. So like no matter what, it's not going to be great because his heart's not in it.
Right.
He's not into touring anymore. He's not into just creating music like that anymore. Like his heart's not in it. So if he did do it, it wouldn't be right. So I think he's right not to do it.
And what do you think about it,
You know,
Chris?
it hurts,
Are you allowed to veer?
No, where I get nervous with it is when I first heard about it, Lauryn Hill popped in my mind, and I thought, man, I'm almost nervous for him with this because it's not a Lauryn Hill sitting down with acapellas.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that has me like it has the same kind of energy. Like this isn't the person that we want to see. Like they're putting something out, but this isn't the person we want to see. Like that person's gone, and we got to live with the fact that person's gone. Like that's the feeling I got, and I've told Calvin this before. When I first saw the barbecue party that Dave Chappelle did, I'll never forget that. When Lauryn Hill walked out on the stage, I felt it in my chest because I felt like she always had this light around her. When she walked out on the stage, I didn't see that light. Like that aura was gone. She was gone for so long, and it to me, it's like that light around her was gone. That's what I'm nervous about with Andre. I feel like he's been gone for so long. This flute album, is that light gonna be there? How is his aura shining? Because that aura was a rock star special aura. Is that? I'm not saying it's not gonna be there, but I'm nervous that it's not gonna be there. That's gonna be heartbreaking because he took us to a certain level that you cannot come down now. You know what I mean? So could he produce that? So I'm hesitant to listen to it, to tell you the truth, because it's like I want to keep the Andre I know in my head.
I listened to the Flute album.
It's meditative.
It's 100% meditative.
That's what I figured. I don't smoke weed, but I feel like when it's done, I'm going to be looking for weed.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
that's 100%. That's what it is.
That's the feeling I get.
Like the spas
and
the spa centers and the massage clinics is going to be litty. It's going to be popping.
But here's the weird part about it. Like the melodies and what he's trying to do is cool. Like it works. But because I know of him of doing this other thing, I couldn't appreciate it. And so it kind of bothered me. I was excited, like I listened to it. I downloaded it and I was playing it in the car. And I'm like, I mean, it's right. I mean, it makes sense. But I'm like, but
it's Lauryn Hill sitting on a stool with a guitar.
100%. That's exactly what it is. So it kind of is disappointing, but interesting. Best way to describe it. It's interesting because it's unique. And I think the other fear is that a lot of people are worried that he's going to sound crazy playing the flute, like he's going to sound like an amateur, but he's not.
Right.
He's not like Kenny G or anything like that, but like he is playing, and he produced all the music, so like it's good, but it's not what I want.
Right, because we still have that selfishness as fans that we want to hear him be the great lyricist and rapper that. Especially when he comes and teases us with features, right? Like that's what you want.
Last year,
he's still doing features. Yeah, he's still doing features. And again, they're still elite level. It's not like that was this Andre. That's cool. It's like your head is spinning by the time he's done his 16 bars.
Yeah, he's still putting out features or records. So it's not like he's not capable. Mentally, he just doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Well, Keo, if you remember what the guy said in the interview when he said you're basically like a Porsche parked in the garage.
Yeah.
Remember the guy told him that? He was like, you're you're still at a high level, but you're parked in the garage. I was like, man, that's a great way to put it.
He's got
a great analogy.
He's got the car cover over the Panamera. It hasn't been driven since 2018.
He can still do like 3.4 seconds on like quarter mile, but like he's like, I don't feel like it. I'm gonna take the bus.
Yeah, but that's what he is, though. That's what he is. Like there's certain artists that are still out or older artists that'll still come out with stuff, and you're like, okay, cool. But it's not like like even I don't want to mention names, but like there's certain artists where you hear them and it's like it's still nice, but it's not what it was before, even though it's still nice.
Yeah.
But like with him, it's like no, it's still like I said, the Life of the Party. You go listen to what he did on Life of the Party. You're like even my wife was listening to that, and she was like, "Holy shit, holy shit, what is he saying here?" You know, and I'm like, yeah, like he's still out of this world. I think that's the part that drives people crazy. That's the part that still drives people crazy because he's still at that level. But at the same time, it's like, is it still his responsibility to give us a great album anymore? You know what I mean? Like can we allow him to be who he's gonna be? Like, did he not do enough with Outkast to be able to be allowed to be him?
You know, and could I talk about that now? Or you still want to hold on?
Go for it.
Like I said, me personally, if Andre never does music ever again, I'm good with it. You know, I'm good with it because I'll compare it to basketball. I remember like us growing up in basketball, we're taught you have to always be at a certain level. And when we saw NBA players that weren't at a certain level, he's a bum. You know, he's a bum and he's this and he's that, until you start seeing what these bench guys' life is like. And you start seeing like how their families are taking care of this. And I'm like, yo, we call these guys bums? Shit, I want to be a bum. You know what I mean? This is what a bum looks like. So what I'm saying that to say this, these guys have everything in life. Their families taken care of financially. They can still travel the world if they did the right thing with their money. They have royalties and stuff still coming to them. But because we think he finished too soon, you know, it's kind of like the Barry Sanders. It's like for years, we were ripping. I was almost in tears when Barry Sanders retired. Yeah, after a few years, I was like, yo, this guy seems, every time you see him in interviews, he seems like he's good. What am I like complaining about? He was here to give me something. He gave it to me. Who am I to tell him he was supposed to give it to me to like, you know, pause. But who am I to say? Who am I to say he was supposed to do that until he's like 80 something? You're not all of them are there to keep on going. So me personally, how my mind has changed from I was like 20 years old, you know, I feel like if he never does another album right now, I'm good because he left me with so much catalog, like beautiful music. I'm good. Like, you know, but I know people will stay ripping him. Like, man, they left money on the table. You know how much people I hear talk about that when they talk about Outkast? Like, Andre made them leave so much money on the table. I'm like, well, why would you say that, though? If he's done, he's done. He did what he was supposed to do. He fulfilled his dreams. You know what I mean?
You can't Idlewild. Like, this is 6 albums? And they all went gold. They all went platinum. Like, I don't know how much do you need to leave on the table, like as far as the artist goes. You have 1 diamond album and 3 platinums, 1 gold. And you're worried about leaving stuff on the table like that. That's incredible, man.
Yeah, and you know, Keo,
every artist,
and you know, two things.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and you guys know, 2 powerful things that can destroy your legacy is 3. Ego is 1, greed is another one, and listening to the masses is the 3rd one. Because all 3 of them could make you come out of your house and go in a studio when you have no business going in there.
Yeah.
And then so now the work you put out now is trash, and you just basically like shitted on something that was like priceless. You know, it's like once some of these guys, once they're done, like, don't get caught up in those 3 things. Just go away now. Go do something else. Be a businessman with your family. Open up some companies. Run something. Because if you come back following those 3 things, your ego, greed for money, or what other people are saying, you know, he finished too quick. Like, yo, he's got so much on the table. You might come back now and have people like shitting on you. Like, oh, he lost it.
Yeah.
You know, he's trash now.
Worse. coming back with an album and that's terrible, it kind of ruins everything that came out before it.
Oh yeah, it's that stain on your ledger, right?
Yeah, absolutely. People don't think about it like that, but like they went out on top and they didn't go out like kind of on top. Like they went out on top. There was nothing bigger than them when they left, and that's incredible in itself. Like it's one of those things. Like as a fan, like I love their music, and I'm selfish that I want more, but I don't blame them because like being an artist is hard. People don't appreciate how much work it goes to the studio, all the business stuff you got to deal with, and you got all the snake people behind you trying to ruin your career and everything like that. Like it's a lot of pressure.
Well, remember we did a podcast one time, like me and you on Calvin's podcast one time. I don't know if you remember when I said when I was involved with a record label, and I was like, "Yo, I give mad props." Remember, I said, "Keo, I give mad props to people like you." Producers and whatnot, because I was like, after about 3-4 hours, I was done. I didn't give a shit what was going on in that studio. My keys is going in my car. Y'all send me this is when it's done, and I'll DJ it. I'll spin it. But I was 10,000 miles away from being a producer. So I give producers mad props, and those couple of years with the record label made me even appreciate artists and producers even more, because we shit on them. We're like, yo, this thing is whack. There's got only like 2 songs on an album, and what's disturbing about it is these guys clocked so much hours, and then the masses just shit on you so easy. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you that it hurts when you put all your effort into something. Just being in the studio for like 7-8 hours straight, listening to the same song over and over. I'll say
well, see, I wouldn't know what you're talking about because I'm usually gone by hour 2.
Oh yeah, I sit there and then I want to go to the mix because I want to make sure they do it right, and like the whole process is brutal. Like, it takes a lot out of you.
And then can you imagine you hear somebody like people now, yo, like, that thing is shit, trash. Like months later, it's garbage. And then they're like, yo, why does the artist take it so personal? Well, spend some time in the studio and you'll understand why they take it personal.
Yeah. Like, forget doing or making a whole album. Even writing a song. Try writing a song.
Oh, my God.
You know how hard it is to write a song?
And
a song, and just and not even a song that like the masses gonna love. Just a song, period, that even somebody would be like, you know what, that's not bad. You know how hard that is to do? Like people don't realize that either. But to your point, Keo, when you're saying like these guys were, and again in doing the research, I didn't realize that album went diamond. Like every artist would take that career of a diamond album, 3 platinums, 1 gold, and 1 that was just under gold, but still people love it. Every artist coming into the music game, if you told them that like, hey, you know what, you're gonna make 6 albums, but one of them is going to go okay. Your first album is going to go okay. The rest of them is going to go platinum. One of them is going to go gold. One of them you're going to incorporate into a movie. And the other one is going to be diamond. Every artist would take that and run with it. But yet, like I said, as fans, selfishly, we're still like, hey, you know what? This guy should have came out with, or these people should have came out with like 3 or 4 more albums. But at the same time, like, for example, like I'll say like Nas, right? Like Nas has been still putting out. He went through like a stream of consciousness the last like 3-4 years, especially during COVID, and put out a lot of work with him.
Yeah.
And those albums were dope. Yeah. But do we appreciate it the same way we appreciate Stillmatic? No.
Nope.
Nope. And again, I love those albums. I'm a Nas guy. I love those albums. Those albums that came out during the pandemic were dope. They were fire. And I mean, and he's probably one of the few that can still do that and still be relevant and still be dope. But like most artists still trying to put out albums today, we don't appreciate it, even though they're putting out great classic, material and stuff that adds to the value to the catalog. We don't appreciate it the same when they've got to album 10 now. So and so puts out album 10, we're like, who cares? You know what I mean? But like that's an incredible talent. When they're on album 2 and album 3 and album 5, we were like, oh my gosh, this person, like, I hope they never stop making music. And then when they get to album 10, you're like, who cares? So that's the thing. Like, with Andre, are we still going to appreciate it if he's 3-4 albums deep into his solo career, are we still appreciating him the same? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I hear people say that, like, yo, if Biggie was around, oh my God, the game would be like crazy. He'd be doing this and that. And I'm like, man, you sure?
Nah, man. I don't
Because
think people
after
appreciate
Biggie's
it,
like 4th or 5th album, let's say, are you sure you're gonna care for Biggie the same way
And
that you care about him right now?
You gotta look at the track record for Puffy already, man. It's
Right.
not good.
Right.
He don't go through 4 albums.
And even at the time when Biggie was coming out with Life After Death before he died, people were getting tired of the whole Versace, all the champagne, all that stuff, and everybody was tired of all that whole flossing thing that they were doing at the time. People were making fun of them. Remember the Roots? Everybody was killing them for that at the time. But to my point, though, like, people were already tired of that whole stuff, and then he came out with the the classic, but people were already tired of him already. And he only did 1 album. So imagine album 5.
He benefited. I hate to say it, but he benefited greatly from dying for his last album. And I like the album.
Unfortunately, I agree with you. Unfortunately, I agree with you.
Gotta be clear here. I love the album. It was a favorite album of mine, but he benefited greatly from dying. I don't think that album would have been. It wouldn't have gone diamond for sure.
I think it still would have been a monster, though. I think it still would have been a monster.
Yeah, it would have done. It would have done good, but it wouldn't have gone diamond.
Yeah,
there's no way.
Now, seeing that this is the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and seeing that some of these legacy artists are back on the scene, touring with some of their shows, actually outperforming the new acts today, which is crazy, right? Which is crazy and also a little sad. It's also a little sad too.
Yeah, right? But it says a lot, though.
Yeah,
it says a lot.
Absolutely.
I think that's a good sign. I think that's a good universal sign, man. It's what it's saying is, if you give people something that's pure, sometimes it comes back and slaps you in the face. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what a lot of the new stuff. I hate to say it, but it's so hollow. When people get the real thing, it's sometimes you get told what you put out was hollow. And I think this is a good example of it, man.
Yeah.
I think this is a good example. It's speaking to the new artists. It's like, step your game up, man. You drifted off. You need to drift back.
Yeah, because in terms of like concerts and stuff, the old school's killing the new school right now for the most part. They're killing the old school right now.
So they are getting murdered, their bodies.
No, absolutely. And with that being said, when you look at Outkast, exactly how much money do you think they're leaving on the table by not performing together? Not doing albums, but just performing their catalog together.
If they came out and they said, if Dre came out and he said, like, you know what, I don't want to do like 2 years, 3 years, whatever. I want to tour for a year. It's over. It's over.
Easily.
He comes out and he says, let's do 12 months, a 12-month tour. Jesus Christ. I don't know what kind of money, but packed arenas,
easily.
Like packed arenas. They don't have to do a new album. Take those 6.
Yeah, just and let's tour. Album and go. Yeah.
Yep. Let's tour. Let's tour from those 6. I think, man. Yeah. What? I know. I'll be like, fist fighting somebody to get to that Ticketmaster outlet. Especially how I never saw them, and now I get the chance. What?
That's the thing. It's like Michael Jackson, where like a lot of people never saw him in person. That would, if they could go to a show today, they would.
Instantly. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I got blessed. I saw him. He was younger. So I saw the Jackson 5, but still, at least you're right. I could say
at least I saw it.
Yeah, I saw him.
But like
the ones,
Outkast,
never saw. Like, if they did that, we'll do 12 months. Like, Andre's like, you know what? I'm gonna commit to 12 months. Let's see how much cities we could hit in 12 months, covering the 6 albums. Oh my God! Like, Jesus. Not to mention like Europe.
Go so Europe is huge. Oh
my gosh, Europe!
They would love
insane.
to go to a show.
Oh, Europe would be insane.
They could put out a concert movie like Beyonce and Taylor Swift right now and crush it. Like, just crush it. Because you gotta look at all the interest that Andre's getting for him playing the flute alone. Like, that's insane.
It outsold most hip hop albums, actually.
Yes.
I think I got that message from you, Chris. I think it outsold most hip hop albums. And he's playing
Now
the flute.
imagine a 12-month tour. I would love to see what certain places in Europe would look like. Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
They would have to do at least
that
two
would be
shows
stadiums.
in Toronto. They'd have to do 2 shows in Toronto.
You got to do a couple. They absolutely got to do a couple here.
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
know. I think it would be Rogers Center. I don't even think it would be ACC.
Oh,
it would have to be in a bigger venue.
Yeah. Yo, so you think it's stadium? You don't even think it's like arena. You think it's
Yeah.
stadium?
I think it's stadium.
Well, Europe for
They did,
sure. Like Europe for sure, it's stadium. Like
Yeah.
100%. Like North America, I think some regions, yeah, I could see it being stadium.
You know why?
What's the show they did? The last show.
No, I'm not even sure, but it didn't go well though, right?
Yeah, that's the one he was complaining about. But that was the one it's in the desert. I think it's in California.
Okay.
And they headlined the show, and everyone's losing their mind over it. That's what it would be like every city you go to. It would
It'd
be
a
insane.
festival.
Yeah, easily.
But
because you got all of us got money now. Like, you think we're not gonna go to the show? Come on, man. We got jobs and mortgages. We're going to the show.
And we would have went back.
I wonder how they can get
change. We just had a little bit of change.
I wonder how they can get Andre to man. If they can get Andre to sit down and commit to that. Don't commit to a new album. We don't want a new album.
Like,
we don't want to pressure you for a new album. Let's see, knock out 12 months.
Just get out there, man. Yo,
yeah,
that's all I want.
That would be, geez, that would be absolutely like, because it hurts my heart every time. To the point now where I don't even pay attention. Every time I hear, the Fugees performed that, I'm like, I don't even get caught up with that anymore. My heart's been broken so many times. I'm like, So, but if they can pull that off and commit to it, you know what I mean? Like,
that would be a hell of a show.
But it's interesting though, because like the Fugees and like Tribe before them, right? Like, and countless other groups. Because man, you're talking about your heart's been broken, Chris. My heart shattered when I saw Daryl Hall getting a restraining order against John Oates for publishing rights. Like, that broke my heart. I'm like, yo, Hall and Oates is beefing? How's Hall and Oates beefing? Like that. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that got me. I was like, nah. I'm like, I was hoping I could see them in concert one more time. You telling me they beefing? Like restraining order beefing?
What I'm talking about. I would go to see Hall & Oates perform, man.
Of course, I'd fist fight you for the tickets.
Yeah, you're right. That hurt. When I saw that hurt. Like, that hurt, man. I was like, come on, man. Hall & Oates, like, come on. Reading it, all the sentences just felt wrong.
Yeah, it just don't feel right.
Like
it's like childhood right there.
But like I said, like Tribe before them, like ego usually destroys these opportunities before they get to fully bloom, especially post-career, and especially within a climate where artists are not making the same amount of money that they used to. But Outkast is unique because this isn't due to beef. This isn't due to any of that. They just can't get Andre in the mindset to perform on stage.
Still boys. They talk to each other, but they just don't want to go perform.
He doesn't want to perform. Well, I think it's he doesn't want to perform. I think if it was up to Big Boy, they would world tour tomorrow.
Would. They absolutely would be out there.
They'd be touring tomorrow. They tour tomorrow.
Yeah.
They would tour tomorrow. And again, it's funny. It's not like Big Boy doesn't have anything going for himself. Like recently, he came out with a show called the Big RV Remix. That was I think it's 10 episodes on Hulu. I think it's going to be on A&E. I think in the spring of 2024. I actually got a couple that we know, me and Chris know, that there's friends of mine. They're one of the 10 episodes. They actually got featured on one of the 10 episodes. Yeah, I'm actually we're gonna be doing a podcast in about a week or so. So like after this
I gotta
one,
look forward to that.
Yeah, but like they were actually on Big Boy's show. You know what I mean? So it's like to your point, like he's still doing shit. Like he's still doing big things. But at the same time, it's like at the heart of it all, he's still a musician. He's still a rapper at heart. You know, who wouldn't want to see these guys perform? Like, I think they're leaving a few million at the table minimum. But again, it's not due to the normal things where it's like beef and this one's not talking to that one. And I just watched a documentary on Little Brother the other day or yesterday, and I mean they're a much smaller group, but like they were beefing for years. You know what I mean? Most groups, that's caused it. Rockefeller. What destroyed Rockefeller? Ego, beef. You know what I mean? Like, lots of these groups, all beef or record labels, they can't, as a success grows, somebody wants to take responsibility for the success. They want to get the lion's share of the hand claps. You know what I mean? As I like to call it. But that's not their issue here. Their issue is they can't get Andre in that mindset to be on stage. It's like he hit this new phase in his life and he just moved past. It's like that was like his old life and he just moved past it.
No, but when you're that creative, it's hard to maintain that level of consistency. Like as a painter or something like that, to just keep them going 30 years after the fact. Because they had, 20-year break? 15-year break since the last album?
Almost
It's been
close to 20 years,
So these guys were performing close to 30 damn years. That's insane. So to keep doing that as a grown man, like, both of them got gray hair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were older when I was in high school, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've been here for a while. I get Andre's feeling of, like, I just don't feel like it. And another thing, too, about it is that they don't need the money. So that's a huge factor.
You're right.
That's a huge factor.
They're not desperate for
They're not sweating it. They're not sweating being famous. They're not sweating getting back in the limelight. They're not worried about money. It's a different thing for them. So they had the luxury of saying, like, I'll retire and I'm good.
Yeah.
And hasn't he made comments like being famous sucks? Like, there's nothing good about being famous. It's like he thinks being famous sucks. He's like, everybody knows you, want to know you, and he's like, sometimes you don't want to be famous. And I'm like, when you're thinking like that, you're not gonna be on that stage long. You're here for a short term.
He's living his best life in Japan right now, man. He's living his best life. He's walking down the street with the flute, and Japanese people don't care about him, so he's doing great out there. Like, I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
You know what's funny, Keo? Back in the days, that's how a lot of artists used to feel coming to Toronto.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of artists used to say they love coming to Toronto because they can just go shopping, they can just walk the streets, nobody knows them. They just, I had somebody that used to do security for a lot of the top artists. He used to be their bodyguard. And he said a lot of times he would take them places. And I remember him giving me a story one time about Denzel. And he said he took Denzel to a restaurant. And he goes, there was a group of black women on the table right next to them. And at no point, because he was wearing a baseball cap, did they even realize it's Denzel Washington sitting next to them. He said they would have tore that restaurant up. And nobody, he said on the way out, I think he said some white girl said, wait a minute, aren't you Denzel Washington? He just smiled, as they strolled out. But he said guys like him, he used to watch Jordan. He said Michael Jordan, same thing. They would just put on a baseball cap and stroll the street because they just wanted to be left alone. They didn't want to be celebrities. It's a hard life to live, man. People don't realize it.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's the case here anymore, though.
No, it's not quite that way now.
But
but a lot of it too is social media too, right?
Yeah, well, because people more want to be famous than actually, because they'll create havoc trying to be famous.
Yeah,
or trying to do something
or
viral.
Getting that viral clip of somebody that is famous. Like being famous, that currency now, that trafficking of currency now is even the demand for that is even higher than before because of social media.
Yeah.
It's even
and
higher
they're fortunate to skip all that.
Yeah.
At least during the prime of Outkast, they skipped all the social media stuff. They MySpace? I don't think they had stuff to worry about, really.
They didn't have to deal with Black Planet. They had to deal with Baller Alert. They had to deal with none of that stuff. They had to deal with none of that.
That's
they
true.
Skipped that whole era, and they were good. They were too, and even when that time came, they were so above that, like it didn't touch them anyway. So they were good.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what makes them even more special, because they didn't have to deal with social media and have to fake shit just to stay current. Because we're so busy chasing numbers. Sometimes it's like people don't want to know that the average day is boring. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's a sin to let people know the truth. Yeah, the truth is the average day is boring. There's nothing going on. So now we got to make up shit. Let me go slap such and such just so we can get more views. You know, but before I slap such and such, we were sitting down just looking at the pool, like, oh, what are you gonna do today? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Or you're
right.
literally on the couch watching the Dark Knight Rises or the Dark Knight. You're watching the Joker Batman with Heath Ledger. You're just sitting there with popcorn eating that. That was your day. You're having a Chris Nolan Batman marathon. You know, like that's what you're actually doing. But no, we're gonna show you flossing your Jordans and showing your Patek watch. You know what I mean? Like you were doing that instead.
Yeah. Those days they got away from all that stuff, and it kept the purity of the magic that they were here to bring. You know, I think if these guys were around now, I don't know if we get the same kind of magic because of social media, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a good and bad in it. That's the bad in social media. It forces us to try to be who we're not.
Yeah, it's true. That's 100% true.
But with that said, selfishly, I would love them to demand. I would love them to
I would too. That's the thing. If they could do it, I wouldn't be like, no, don't do that. It's gonna ruin everything. Like, I'm like, go for it. Absolutely, go for it. I would be happy for that.
But the thing,
I would.
But here's why, Keo. It's not to cut you, Chris. But here's why, Keo. When you said that this would be a stadium thing, it made me think because I'm like, think of who they would bring on that show if it's a stadium.
Yeah,
they're bringing Killer Mike. They're bringing Goody Mob. They're bringing CeeLo Green. They're bringing who am I thinking? Rattle off some names, but there's some names you might see Q-Tip. You might see Mos Def. You might see.
Yeah, you would have to.
There's countless people you may see.
You got to bring like TLC out there. Like, TLC,
you might see TLC.
It would be like that. Definitely some more Southern people, but still, like it would be crazy. Like the Dungeon Family, like Slim Calhoun, all those guys would be there, and like UGK, like you would have to bring out a lot of other
UGK. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Well, I mean, mind you, it would just be Bun B, but still.
Pimp C, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Bun B. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. But I'm just saying, like, there's a lot you could do.
Yeah, that could be a stadium because of that.
Status. Yeah, easily.
Because think of all these shows that you're seeing now that are out, like not even just hip hop, but even like R&B. Because I remember in I think last year when I was in Florida, I saw a commercial come on TV and they're like, "New Edition back on tour," and I'm like, okay, cool. Like you've seen them go back to back on tour, and then they said with special guest Guy. And I remember I literally sat up. I actually stood off my cousin's couch, and I'm like, "Guy." The guy? And I actually literally was on my phone, like looking like, oh, okay, are they gonna be near Toronto? Do I gotta go to Vegas? Like, like already I was like, whoa, wait, hold on. They said Guy. Wait, is it all of guys or just like Teddy Riley? Like, wait, it's all of Guy? You know? So I'm like, so that's what I'm thinking of the possibilities of like them doing a stadium tour. Like you can get these acts to come. You know what I mean? Like look for example, like I know in a recent interview, Killer Mike, and he had to retract his statements, but he said he heard an album with Andre 3000 rapping, and he's like, bro, the material is like it's stupid as fire. I think he's coming on the album, and I think he had to retract the statement. Right, but it's funny. There's an online theory. This guy I follow, I think it's Artemis Gordon. I follow on IG, but he's like, he thinks there's a theory that like there's actually an album maybe coming in the works, and we're not saying this is true, but he said if you follow Stevie Wonder, because back in the 70s, Stevie Wonder was reigning, right, and after he came out with Songs in the Keys of Life, he came out with what was the album that was all it was like the Secret Life of Plants or something like that. He came out with some album that was like instrument type of album, all that stuff, and he said back then people like pissed on it, and then he came out immediately with Hotter Than July, which is another
banger,
classic, right?
Banger.
So he's like there's a theory that like he's doing this to give you this meditative stuff, and then he's gonna hit you with an album, and everybody's just gonna just go ape shit crazy. Like if Outkast or Andre 3000, like either or. If I wouldn't say Big Boy because he's had a solo career, but like if Outkast and or Andre 3000 was to do like what Beyonce does, and just You wake up tomorrow and wait a minute, why is Twitter going crazy? Oh, there's an actual Andre 3000 album? That would take over the next 2 weeks, especially for fire.
This flute album broke the internet. Like this thing alone.
And he's just playing the flute.
He's just playing the flute. So if he came out spinning,
and that's because of curiosity, because nobody knows what to think of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know
what I mean? How much tracks is on that?
I think it's like
6 or 5.
Is it that much?
It's short.
Yeah,
it's like 5 or 6.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm like, how much flute could you hear?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
but that's my
it's
thing though.
Jazz.
Like if I'm Andre 3000 and I had a secret album in the works or Outkast or whatever it was, I would say Andre 3000 just because 3 Stacks, just because he hasn't come out with his own solo album. If he was to do that, I would do it like Beyonce. I would do it where or like how D'Angelo came out with his last album. You just wake up in the morning or drop it at midnight, 6 in the morning, boom, here's an album.
Yeah.
There's no promo, there's no you know what I mean? You just came out with the album.
Yeah.
That album would go through the roof, especially if like the lead song is fire. That's it. It's over. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's done.
Could you imagine? Listen, you know that guy, I think his name is D1?
D1? Okay.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the light-skinned brother with the locks. I was watching him in an interview today, and this just came to mind. He said something that I was just like, man, it's like, I think that is such a great idea, because I often wonder about things like this. He goes, we get ripped off. He goes, as artists, we get ripped off by all this streaming stuff, man. And he goes, the album that I'm putting out, you could only get it on my site, because he said the kind of money that I guess the streaming companies, I don't want to say any name, but he's like, how they give us like this percentage on the penny. He's like, you could listen to my whole album and I can make like 3 cents. It's a joke. You know what I mean? So he says, you get it on my website and you decide what you want to pay for it. And he said, and because of that, there's people that paid like $1,000. And I thought about it and I was like, wow, imagine if somebody like Outkast did something like that. Like there's only one place you can get it. They come back together and they put out a banger, and there's only one place you can get it, and that's like at Outkast.com.
Yeah, so it was Hughley. No, I forgot that. There's a comedian that did that. He got canceled, and he put out a comedy album on his website, and that's the only way you can get it. He sold like $5 or $6 million worth of thing from this, just doing it on his website, just by himself.
No middleman. Yeah, cut out the middleman, basically. They have the power. They have the power right now to do shit like that. A lot of artists have the power to do that right now. Like, forget these streaming companies, man, and just get it from my site. End of story. Yeah. You decide. You could pay $5 for it. You could pay $5,000 for it. And there's people that would drop, like he said, people paid like $1,000 for it. They want the album, yes, but they want to make sure your career keeps going.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I love to hear things like that. So imagine an Outkast comes in, they do something like that. You could only get this album though on Outkast.com, let's say. I think that would be incredible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree. Like,
incredible.
Stick to streaming stuff. Don't put anything on streaming. Just go right on the only website. That's all you get.
It would be amazing. I think a lot of artists need to go that route. I'm one of those guys when people started talking some years back about like YouTube and how YouTube, you can make so much money if you get so much views, this and that. I was the guy sitting back going, but you guys don't realize the same way people are saying we're finally getting rid of the record labels. You went back to something that's a record label. Yeah. Because there's a middleman between you and the streets. I'm like, I never understood that whole movement. We're trying to get hits and stuff. Somebody's a middleman between you and the street. So going back to Outkast, I think that would be incredible if they were to go that route, if they wanted to come out. You know what I mean?
It's funny because Black Star, Most Definitely to Live Quality, that's what they did. I think last year, last year they came out with an album and it was on, I think it was on Luminary. You can only get it on that streaming app or that website. I think it was a streaming app. Sorry, Luminary is a streaming app. So I think that's that's the only place you can get the Black Star album. So I don't know what they made from it. I don't know what the numbers were, but I knew
you don't have to sell much to make money.
No, that's the whole point, right? So that's what they did. It's you can't get it anywhere else. That's the only place you can get it was on Luminary. So you paid whatever, $10, $20, whatever it was for it. That's the only way you can get it.
Yeah.
And if you had that app, right? So I mean, there's ways to do it. But I'm just saying, like, I think he's still that big, or they're still that big, where like if they decided to come up with new material. Or most likely he did, especially him. I think it would be a wrap. It would be a wrap. It would go.
That's the thing, though. It would be for the money. Then they would have to do it like that because they don't need it. Successful. They don't need the money.
Yeah.
So like even doing it that way without needing the money, it would still be successful. You're not looking at them like they're desperate. Like, oh, these guys are they're screwed. We gotta help them out. And you go funding for Outkast. Like you're not looking at it like that. You're looking like, yo, this is some art over here, and I get a chance to own part of it.
Right.
Like it's a unique thing for them. Like, they're in the best position to put an album out right now. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
And it would win because the recognition is ridiculous that they're getting right now.
And or the tour. Or the tour, even if it's not an album, if like the tour itself would be like, again, super successful. But it's really all on 3 Stacks. It's all on him. It's all on him. If he decides to do it, it's over. Like they're making money hand over fist. And as an older group at this stage now, you like as much as the like I said, the old school is reigning. They would be one of the few, like one of the old school groups that would really be reigning right now. Like really be reigning, and like and again, it wouldn't, to your point, like I could see the stadium status stuff, at least in some cities, because of that alone.
Oh yeah.
Like it would just be bananas. Like they started out from the
South
spring
for
of 2024. Sure. Yeah. Oh my God. I think
the South for sure.
To be
they
honest,
can sell out MetLife Stadium in New York. They can sell that out.
But I tell you what though, if they were to come over with a tour, I think I would actually have to go to like the South to go watch it. I would go to Atlanta to watch it. I'd rather go there just to catch the vibe of that whole energy with that. You know what I mean? To see it in the South would be different than seeing it up north, just because they belong to the South, right? So that energy is gonna always be a little different. It's like seeing like Nas or somebody like that at Madison Square Garden, or Jay-Z or something like that. So the energy is a little different when you're back home or you're back in that region. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So I guess
like seeing the ATL, what's the Mercedes? What's the
Mercedes Stadium? Yeah, where the Falcons play.
Yeah, that would be crazy,
bro.
Atlanta would fill that stadium,
bro. That stadium sold out for Kanye's listening party for Donda when he wasn't even rapping. He was just playing it with a mask on his face. So imagine if Outkast did a whole album, a whole concert.
I can't imagine.
That would be nuts.
Can't imagine. And even down here in Florida, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they would sell out Florida.
Yeah, they would sell that out.
Jesus. That would be absolutely insane.
Texas, California, there's a bunch of places they could go sell out.
Oh yeah. That would be insane, man. I couldn't even imagine that. That would be absolutely insane. Oh my God.
But now I want it to happen, man. You guys got me hyped up, man. I want it to happen now. Shoot.
But hey,
we're gonna have you coming off this pissed off, man. Andre, man.
What's wrong with these guys, yo?
You're like, put down the flute, man. Pick up the mic. You
know. Dude, they're probably on his neck right now. Like, yo, rap, man. Just rap. A little bit.
Like, just please give us something. But you know, we'll wrap up here. But brothers, thank you for hopping on this podcast as always. You know, like I said,
thank you, man.
The conversations are always enjoyable for me, man. When we the three of us come together like Voltron.
Definitely.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for checking out the latest edition of the Ave Podcast. And special shout out to DJ Chris Nice, as well as DJ Keo, for coming through and having this Outkast conversation, breaking down their classic double album. It's a great body of work. I don't think you can truly ever deny that, personally. And it further represents exactly why this duo is among the greatest ever in hip-hop. They changed the game in so many ways, and this is also a trailblazing project that we just had to discuss. Thank you for tuning in to the show. Speaking of which, you can check out Chris Nice's Grooves and Rhythms Mix Show, which is on today if you're listening on Friday, and every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Go catch your vibes with him and set the start of your weekend right. And you can check it out on My Lime Radio, which once again is My Lime Radio. You can catch that at mylimeradio.com. And you can also check out my catalog over at southshoreave.com. And make sure you check out all of the past shows, including the latest edition of Memory Lane. And hit the like and subscribe buttons wherever you listen to podcasts, including the aforementioned 5 stars. All right, so once again, for DJ Chris Nice and DJ Keo, this is Cal C. And you just tuned into the latest episode right here on South Shore Ave Radio. All right, until next time, peace. We out.